Hey, everybody. My name is Tim Jacobs, and I just want to say that I'm excited to be here at this event, that I am coming in from Jacksonville, Florida, where my wife and I are settled in for the winter. Um, just real briefly, my wife and I, we live a nomadic lifestyle. We live out of our RV and we just love to travel. And we winter at different areas of Florida. We spend time in northern New Hampshire, upstate New York, Vermont, and also Tennessee in our travels up and down the East Coast. And one of the reasons why we chose this lifestyle and we also enjoy this lifestyle is because of ghostwriting. This provides us the means in order to live this type of lifestyle, which we really enjoy. It gives us a lot of time with family. It gives us time with friends. We like to visit different writing groups and ghostwriter mastermind groups. And we really just have a lot of fun. And in between all the traveling and all the fun, we just do a lot of writing, particularly ghostwriting. Very briefly about who I am. I've been a freelance writer for over 35 plus years, and I've probably have over 450 articles and stories in different newspapers, magazines, anthologies, online zines, I guess they call them. And I've always been involved uh, in the arena of publishing, editing, and writing, for many years, always as a side hustle. But in 2012, I formed JWC Publishing with 5 other editors. And from there, over the years, we expanded. And now it's actually, we have 25 people who subcontract with us. And we're made up of editors, ghostwriters, graphic designers, and coaches. And what we do is collaborate mainly with business owners, and we help them write their book. And I'm going to get a little bit more into the business owners and why they would want a book. But the first question I'm going to tackle is, what is ghostwriting? And as intriguing and as unique as that sounds, as something someone might do, it is not a ghost sitting at a typewriter or sitting at a computer pounding away on the keys and writing some type of story that you think Stephen King would definitely be putting out there to the public. Nor is it stories about ghosts, just because it says ghost writers. And it's kind of funny because this past week, my wife and I were babysitting some of our grandkids that happened to be in Jacksonville. And when our 9-year-old granddaughter would come home from school, she would always see me at the computer writing. And she asked me, what do you do all day? And I said, I run a ghostwriting agency. Well, what does a ghostwriter do? I said, well, what do you think a ghostwriter does? And she thought for a moment, and then she says, they write stories for ghosts. And as intriguing as that sounds, and that would be pretty neat, but I had to tell her, no, that's not what ghostwriters do. And she said, well, I'd be interested in that. And I would be interested in that myself. But in short, what a ghostwriter does is a ghostwriter does all the writing, but you, as the author, get all the credit. And a way to kind of make that comparison to really kind of highlight how that works is if you look at the music industry, and in there, we've had groups for years like Simon and Garfunkel. You had The Doors, Led Zeppelin, Queen. They all wrote their own music, the lyrics, the chorus, everything. And then they would record and perform it, and it's their music, it's their words. But when you look at other musicians or basically singers, such as Frank Sinatra, Elvis Presley, well, they didn't write their music. They didn't write their lyrics. Elvis is known to only have co-written 2 songs, and Frank Sinatra has never written a song during his life. But they had songwriters who would write the melodies, would write the music, and then Sinatra, Elvis, and other people would record and perform those particular songs. Therefore, they became known for those songs. Same thing if you think of the television show in the late 60s, The Monkees. None of them played any instruments, and they did not write any of their music or any of their lyrics. It was all written for them. All they did was sing, but yet they kind of were the ones getting all the fame and all the recognition from that. So it's the same thing with a book. You hire a ghostwriter, they write your book, but the public sees you as being the author of it because it's your book, which it is. It's your content. It's your story. It might be your experiences. It might be your theories. It might be lessons. It might be principles you want to teach. It is all yours. It's just that someone helped you write it and put it together in a fashion known as a book. So that's kind of where the ghostwriter and what we would call the author sort of come together. Now, one of the questions is, what does the ghostwriter get out of this? Do they get any credit for this? Is their name on the book? Well, most cases, no. In most cases, the ghostwriter that you hire, or if you're hired to be the ghostwriter, I would highly recommend that you have a contract or an agreement in place. And what that would do is that would outline how you are to be compensated and also how you are to be credited. And by that, I mean, in some cases, the ghostwriter name is on the book. In some cases, it's not. In some cases, there's a non-disclosure agreement, which means you can't say that, you know what, John Doe's book over here, I wrote it, I did the research, I did the interviews, I did all the heavy lifting. That was all me. You're not going to be able to say anything. Other people are like, you know what? Shout it from the hilltops that you're the ghostwriter and that you helped me. I'll be more than happy to promote you. And they're just very beyond thankful that you took the time with them to kind of get their story out, kind of polish it up and get it ready to share with their audience. So it can kind of go either way. That's what you're going to work out with your client, and just make sure that that's something, that's in your contract. When you think about, like, recently, Bill Clinton has done a couple books. Hillary Clinton's done books. Michelle Obama just had her book Becoming, I think, a few years ago. James Patterson, fiction writer there, they all had ghostwriters. Now, the Clintons and Michelle Obama, they didn't necessarily advertise that they had ghostwriters, and their name is not on the front cover of the book. But when you look at the recent books by James Patterson, who's probably putting out like 3 books a year, is because he works with ghostwriters, and now he's starting to give them a lot of credit by putting their name on the book. So it would be the title of the book by James Patterson and or with Jane Doe or John Doe, depending, who was working with them. And one, not really a stereotype, but a myth, let's say, is that, ghostwriting is mainly for celebrities and it's for politicians. Well, it's not. When you look at the largest sector of people who use ghostwriters, believe it or not, is business owners. It's the CEOs, it's the consultants, it's speakers, it's people who are trying to just kind of get that edge over the competition, and a book definitely provides that. A business owner is looking to, for the most part, do a book where they could do that little deeper dive into, these are our processes, these are our principles, these are the solutions that we have, this is how we help clients, and that all leads to, this is how we can help you. And then they want to use that book and leverage that book to kind of build their business. They use that to get those new clients, to get those speaking engagements, to further their brand, and really to be seen as the authority. Hey, you want to know more about essential oils and what's going on in the wellness field? Guess what? Not only do I know that, I wrote the book on it. That gives them a lot of clout, a lot of credibility. And again, that gives them just that little bit of an edge. Another person who would be looking for a ghostwriter is the family person who wants to record stories of their family for future generations. Now, That could be someone who wants to publish grandma's secret recipes, although they won't be secret anymore, but to publish her recipes about why her Swedish meatballs were so darn delicious. And they could have the recipe, a picture of grandma, and then there's a backstory of maybe where grandma had made these, maybe the first time that the person putting the book together actually had those Swedish meatballs, and just those kind of things. Maybe she makes a potato salad that everybody in the neighborhood, when they had a barbecue and get together, everybody wanted, Aunt Gertrude's potato salad because it was by far the best. And they all wanted that recipe. And again, you have a picture of her creating that master dish there, and a story behind how did grandma make her potato salad so good that everybody wanted it. And those are the kind of books that, those are passed down from generation to generation. So when you think after so many years, that person isn't here, but their stories, their words are still here. We have a saying in this business when we're talking to people about they want to write a book, you really need to keep in mind your book will outlive you. Plain and simple, your book is gonna outlive you. And if you look at anybody, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, look at like Mark Twain and Edgar Allan Poe. They're still selling books, and they've been dead for over 100 years, both of them. Or Mark Twain, maybe not 100 years, but they're still selling books because it outlives them. And definitely the family book, the memoir, the family history, things like that. When someone passes away and the children or grandchildren have to go clean out the house, that book does not get put in a box to go to Goodwill or go to some charity or go out at the end of the driveway for a yard sale. That's a book that, maybe they're going to fight over it, but I don't know. But everyone's going to want that book because it's their family too. And it's the history of it. It's right there. Other people looking for ghostwriters are people who probably don't want a book per se, but guess what? They need someone to help them maybe with their social media, to help write content, to help write articles, to help write blog posts, just so they can kind of keep their website not necessarily functioning, but the algorithm of it will show that there's usage there, and that's going to help them when people do searches to kind of get them toward the top of those search engines. That's the SEO, as they say. So those are some of the people that are looking for ghostwriters, and it's just how to position yourself to be in front of them to say, hey, I'm a ghostwriter. This is what I do. This is what I've done. And then discuss what their project is. And hopefully if you two are a good fit for one another, you spend some time with them and you work on a project, and you're giving them the material that they're looking for. So when it comes to like, why would someone hire a ghostwriter? I mean, can't you just sit down and write it yourself? Well, I'm going to give you, there's many reasons why people probably want a ghostwriter, but I'm going to tell you what the top 3 reasons are, at least that I've seen with my experience. And the number one reason is I don't have the time to write. That's the business owner. When it comes to them, especially, they're just too busy running their business, running the day-to-day, trying to take care of their clients, putting out fires, running their staff, that they don't have time to sit down, take it all in, write it, organize it, edit it, and do anything else that needs to be done with it. That's where the ghostwriter comes in, because you just spend a little bit of time with them. You're asking questions, you're recording it, you get all that material, you transcribe it, you clean it up, you polish it, you add segues, and you just put it together basically with like a nice bow, and hopefully they're happy. And it sounds like it's quick and easy, but it's not. It takes time. It takes time to kind of mine the message. It takes time to dig deep and, pull some things out of people. But the number one reason why mainly business owners don't do it is because they just simply don't have the time to sit down and kind of write and reflect and think about what it is they would want to write. The second reason is people say, I'm not sure what to say. I'm not sure if I have anything to say. And the bottom line is that's not true. Everybody has something to say. Everybody has something to share. The thing is, they don't know what they want to say. It's they don't know how to say what it is they want to say. And that's the important thing, is the how. And that's what the ghostwriter provides by having these conversations, by talking to them. And again, mining that message, finding out what that common thread is, finding out what it is that they want to deliver to their audience, to the person reading that book. That's what the ghostwriter's job is to kind of dig until you get to the gold. And that's what that's about. So yes, they have something to say. They just don't know how to say it when it comes to a book, which is very different than from maybe being up on stage and just speaking about whatever topic or subject that they have. The third thing is, believe it or not, people sometimes feel intimidated about writing. And the two things they start doing is when they sit down and they start writing, they constantly start over again and again and again. And you've probably all seen TV shows and some movies and images where someone's at a desk and then there's the waste basket and it's overflowing from crumpled paper because they've started so many times trying to write their story. They're frustrated. They can't do it. And again, they're trying to perfect something that you can't perfect on the first try. It's definitely something that takes time. It's the whole reason why people say, oh, you write alone. It's like a lonely thing. You're sitting at your computer, you're typing away. Yes, there's that aspect. But when you write a book, you're not doing that alone. And you're not going to get it perfect the first time or the second or the third. That's why there's revisions. That's why you work with beta readers. You work with editors. You work with proofreaders. You work with coaches. They're the ones that help get your book or your story to near perfection. That's what their job is. That's what their goal is, to coincide with your goal of, I want this great book. I want a book that's going to deliver my message. I want a book that's going to, for the business owner, it's going to get me clients. It's going to get me speaking engagements. It's going to help brand my business. It's going to, I'm going to be ahead of my competition. Those are the team that's the team that comes together to help you do just that. One of the ways I suggest for people when they say, I want to get started in ghostwriting, how do I do that? These are some things that I share with people. The first thing is, I would suggest that, especially if you're kind of new to writing and you haven't really written anything at length, is to just start small. It's that old adage of how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You don't go in and you're going to eat an elephant like in 3 bites. It's just not going to happen. But one of the things I suggest is make a list of people whose services that you use. Who's the landscaper that comes and cuts your lawn? Who fixes your car when it's broken down? Who does your taxes? Who either cuts or styles your hair? Just make a list of all these services that you use and these people that you kind of know, at least from using their services, and then go to their website and see if they have a page where they have blogs, and then look at their blogs. Are they current with their blogs? Can you see where you could probably rework it and make it a little more punchy, a little more catchy? And then offer to write one for free. Say, hey, look, I was on your website. I was looking through your blog posts, and I noticed you haven't written anything in a while. And, blog posts are a great way to keep the algorithm of your website up there in the searches. I'd be happy to write you a blog post. And then if you like it, we could talk about me writing you more blog posts for X amount of money. And you just go from there. And that's just a slow way, or I don't want to say a slow way, but that's just a way to kind of, put your toe into the water and kind of get used to it, and just start kind of building that little portfolio of things you do. If you do have a little bit of background in writing, one other thing you could do is, let's say someone just wants like this short ebook, and it's just something, they're going to use to just send it around, give it away, to kind of work on building their business, as we said, or scaling their business. One thing to look into is connect with a nonprofit or some type of charity organization where you can offer to write them this short ebook which will be about their message, the good that they're doing, what their mission is, and also who their audience is. And in return, what you get out of this is you get to use their book to promote your ghostwriting services. And not only are they promoting you every time they share the book, but you're allowed to use that book and promote yourself. And hopefully from that, you get a client or two. Another one would be people who are doing a startup business where, they need that exposure. They need something that's different. Everyone is building a website. Everybody's on a podcast. Everybody is on social media posting. Well, a lot of startups, they don't have a book. They're waiting till they get so far into the game to be like, maybe now we'll do a book. Talk to them about doing a book, at least a short book, something they could just give away. And from that, they could use that to kind of scale their business and further their brand. And again, it's helping you as the ghostwriter show what you can do. And hopefully that will lead you to some clients and you can keep building your ghostwriting business. Even for like my wife and I would say a majority of the ghostwriting projects we get are by word of mouth. It's referrals. It's not from being on social media. It's not from any advertising. It's not from anything except we're constantly connecting with people. And we go to meetings and we're in different groups. And, that's one of the things I would strongly suggest is, get together with other ghostwriters. There's plenty of ghostwriter masterminds. There's writing groups, both virtual and in person, and just connect with these people. And, I'm in one group of mastermind for ghostwriters, and we're constantly helping each other. We're not in competition with each other. We're helping each other. We also pass referrals around. If John Doe is coming to me and his book's all about XYZ and our writing style is more like, we do ABC, I'm going to say, hey, you know what? I want you to meet Jonathan or Bruce or Holly. They definitely excel in that area where we don't. And I'll just refer them on. Another thing is, LinkedIn, Facebook, social media places where there's groups. Definitely join, definitely partake, ask questions, ask to meet people one-on-one on a Zoom, or if it's local, say, hey, can I buy you a cup of coffee? I want to talk about being a ghostwriter. They're happy to share. Trust me, I've never met a ghostwriter who doesn't want to share what they're doing. I'm meeting ghostwriters literally every single week. I'm meeting a new ghostwriter and we're jumping on a call and we chat about the books we've done, the books we want to do, the current projects we have. And we end the conversation together the same way. What can I do to support you? What can I do to help you? And it's good to know that I have these people to fall back on, and they know they have me to fall back on if they need any of that help. And, if you're struggling to find a group, take the next step, form a group, put a little index card up at the library that you're looking to start some kind of writer or ghostwriting group, or, put that out to your contacts on LinkedIn and Facebook and other places where you could form an online, virtual group and put that together. And what's great about that is, you get to lead that group. So it's going to be, I don't want to say it's going to be your agenda, but if there's something you're trying to figure out and you want to get done, guess what? When you kick off the meeting, that's what you're starting it with. You're starting it with what's your current challenge and what you want to get done and how you want that to, how you're looking for that resolution there. So when it comes to ghostwriting, well, how much do ghostwriters make? That's always a question. And I can honestly tell you that is sometimes just all over the place. I would say what I've seen on the average is a ghostwriter gets about $1 a word to write a book, whether that's a memoir, whether that's a business book, a book that might be a little more would be a family history book, because that's a lot more research of going through census records, military records, passenger lists, and trying to really trace the family. That's a whole nother animal. That's like ghostwriting and massive research. But just to do what I would call a basic business book for a business owner is roughly like 175, 200 pages. It's roughly 35 to maybe 45,000 words. And, at $1 a word, you're looking at 40 grand. We're a little bit different, at least my business is, because I have what we call an agency. So when we're bringing on a project, we're at $1 a word, but we're also providing all of the back end production, the editing, the proofreading, the graphic design work, helping them register their ISBNs and turn their book into an ebook. So we have a lot more wheels spinning. But then again, we're all coming in as a team, and we're all just kind of sharing in on that budget. But I would definitely say, for myself, having been a ghostwriter, it's absolutely, to me, every client or every project is just wonderful, because I'm meeting, just so many people, and they're sharing their stories with me, and it's just, it's touching, it's wonderful, and you become like kind of like a part of them. I'll just give you two examples of some just incredible stories. I did a family history book for a gentleman. He was in his mid 60s, and his father had died when he was 9. And after the father died, he never got to know that part of the family. So he's 9 years old. He loses his father. He has a couple older sisters and an older brother and a younger sister. And, he just didn't know that part of the family. Once the father died, the mother never took them to that side of the family. And I was able to work with him, interview his siblings. And I was able to trace back, into Mexico, where the family came from. I even found the bridge. I had a picture of the bridge that this family crossed to come into the United States to start a new life for their family. I found his grandmother's obituary, which he had never seen. I found a picture of his grandparents when they were, just a young married couple. It was their wedding photo. But I mean, I was just fine. I found all the paperwork they had to come into the United States. I just found all these things, and just found all these different little leads and little clues and little story, and was able to put all that together in a book for him. And, the guy was just beyond pleased at it. And we got it done in time for Christmas. He printed like 30 copies and just like gave them away to everyone in the family possible. And even his younger sister even got in touch with the cousins on the father's side of the family that no one spoke to in like 30, 40 years, not by any harsh words, but just that, when that connection of the father was gone, that just kind of disappeared. And last I talked to them, which was, a few years back, she was planning actually of going out to Indiana to even visit them. So, that's something awesome. That's something you can't really plan that's going to be the outcome. Another book I did for a gentleman, I'm in Florida. He's in California. At the time, he was 85 years old. And this guy just lived his life to the fullest. And he was looking for a ghostwriter. He had already been through 2 ghostwriters by the time he came to me. And we did his book. And I had asked him after we were done, I said, I just have to ask you, what happened with the first 2 ghostwriters? I've heard stories of sometimes people fire a ghostwriter, but I'm just curious, you went through 2. And he said, oh, it's very simple. He goes, they judged me. Every time I shared a story with them, they said that, that's not a nice thing you did, that you can't write that. You can't put that out there. Your family's not going to like you if you write that. And he's like, well, my family already knows I did it. They lived through it with me. And he says, Tim, you didn't judge me. You let me just tell my story. You wrote it down, and you just have this natural thing about you. Like you're writing my story, and I'm excited to read more. And I just really enjoyed working with you. And just to give you an idea what this guy is like, he's 85 years old. He just before he got with me to write his book, he went to New Zealand on a cruise, and he bungee jumped from 52 stories high. And he has that story in his book. And I had asked him, what on earth made you bungee jump? I said, I'm like half your age, and I wouldn't even think of bungee jumping anywhere. And he says, well, it's 2 factors that came into play. One, nobody was there to tell me, no, don't do it. And number 2, there was a bar across the street, and I just happened to stop there first. So that's the kind of humor this guy had. And the whole reason why he was doing his book was because he was at the onset of dementia, and he really just wanted to make sure that he was the one who told his story the way he remembered it, the way he, actually lived his life. And those are the kind of things that ghostwriting brings you. Besides like any money you might get, any fees you might collect, anything else, it's really just the people you connect with is really what makes, to me, ghostwriting. And that's what makes it worth the while. Typically, how long does it take to write a book? Well, that's going to depend on the client and the author, as we say, of who you're working with. I usually tell our clients we're about 9 months for everything, from when we start to when the book is in your hands. The ghostwriting part itself could be anywhere from 3 to 4 months. I've had people go 6, 7 months just with the writing part of it. And that could be life gets in the way and there's some delays. It could be they're kind of changing course mid-direction, which could be a little, tricky to navigate, but that can come up. But for the most part, it just depends on how much time and effort you're going to do on your end to deliver to them what what that client's looking for. And, again, that's something that should be in your agreement. It's something you should be able to work out. I've never had anyone come back to me saying, hey, we said it would be this long and it's taking longer, because they want the best thing possible. They're going to, they understand that it takes time for something to kind of be near perfect or close to that perfection. I would say too, if I'm thinking about ghostwriting, I like my model of ghostwriting, which is I kind of have an agency where there's other ghostwriters, because I've had a situation once where a ghostwriter dropped the ball and disappeared on us. And I was able to bring in another ghostwriter, keep the project going for this publisher who hired us to ghostwrite it. And we didn't skip a beat. Everything went perfectly, just seamless. It was perfect. And we got everything done on time. We met the deadline and the book launched. The book became a #1 bestseller for the gentleman. It was a memoir on his great uncle who served in World War II, was at the storming of Normandy, and everything went perfectly. If it's a solo ghostwriter and they disappear, that's very tough on the client for sure, because they don't know what's going on, because they don't have anyone to contact. But as far as, if you want to be a ghostwriter, you want to break into that field, I definitely say just start out with small projects. If you have a good writing background, maybe go into the bigger projects, and just definitely surround yourself with a team. Just make sure you have like a great team is the important thing. And I know this is a video, but I also know for this event I'm also here on the call. I've been monitoring the chat. So, if anybody at any time, if you have any questions or you want a one-on-one with me, I'm easily accessible, and I'll be happy to then share with you my calendar link. And, we could jump on a 20-minute call, and I'd be happy to, instead of being more general with what is ghostwriting, we could specifically talk about what your goals are as a ghostwriter, and I could definitely probably give you some advice of where to start, what to do. And if I know anyone that could help you even more than I can, I would be happy to make that introduction. But I don't know how long I've been rambling on for, but again, I am happy to be at this event. I am excited that they reached out to me and they asked me to participate. I'm looking forward to it. It was a pleasure meeting all of you. And again, if anyone wants to reach out to me, just let me know. I will give you my email and we could just go from there. And anyone that's looking to go into ghostwriting, I wish you absolutely 100% all the best. And as I tell everybody, keep writing.